things are going to come to light, hopefully. But yeah, education is very important as well.
Yeah, because like I said before, most of these people are just uneducated. They don't know history. They don't know, like, mostly everything. They believe, like, in all that communism, all that leftist idea, like Marxists and all that. They don't realize it's not working. So, first we must understand that these problems are made up. These people, these are not real issues. So, the thing is, if you want to turn this around, we must convince, like, normies that these people with made-up problems, they're gonna bring up real problems. We need to spread awareness about it. And, you know what, people need to get woke. But in the other sense.
Like really awaken instead of falling asleep. So wokeness should be called sleepy or something. So, hi guys, and welcome to this video. With me is Chainsword from Twitter, the guy that created those awesome lists of 40k woke writers, and of course, good lists as well about the writers, good list about YouTubers. I'm on the list as well, on the good side of things, on the green, so I'm happy about that. So, hi to you, Chainsword.
Hello.
Introduce yourself, like, real quick. I mean, how did you get into this whole business of calling out stupid things, basically?
Well, I just was one of the normies. I can't say I was completely unaware of the woke problem around me, but thought it didn't concern me. I didn't want to get involved. I believed it was just a loud minority screaming on the internet, and, like, you know, nothing significant will come out of it. But over time, when I saw that another IP died, like Star Wars, Lords of the Rings, D&D, and so on, I decided that you need to stand up and fight. You need to oppose this, because if we do nothing, then in, like, I don't know, 3-4 years, we won't have anything. We only have this woke agenda inserted into everything, like, you know, movies, games, wargaming, tabletop RPGs, and all that. So, I think the tipping point was when Warhammer went full woke with female custodies. And after that, I decided it's time to educate people, tell them what is going on, how can we stop it, and, you know, just do something.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of like the same. I mean, I always try to push back against those things, but not like that. As soon as they got to Warhammer, I was absolutely activated, basically. Okay, so the first topics that we have here, guys, well, you can see these on screen. First is wokeness in the tabletop RPGs, inclusive and diverse models, the decline of cool model design in Warhammer. So yeah, what do you think about that?
So, this is something interesting. Models are trying to be, like, more inclusive. You have these female barbarians, like a big blonde lady. You have this diversity marines, and almost every model that was lately produced by GW is somehow ticking those diversity boxes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you look at models that was produced, like, I don't know, 10-15 years ago, they were mostly modular and generic white dudes, if you know what I mean. You could make them what you wanted, like your dudes. But now you have this dynamic poses, these diverse elves, diverse dwarves. Even GW recently released, like, a black dwarf character for Age of Sigmar. And I noticed that this is a trend that is going on. The models are trying to be, like, not cool, like there was before, but just clean, diverse, and sanitized versions of the models. They are not something better that you can find in STLs, for example.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Sisters of Silence, I mean, Sisters of Battle, the latest models are pretty freaking bad looking. I mean, literally, I showed one of the models to one of my friends, and I didn't say what it was, and he asked if that is a new Space Marine model, like, for real. He thought that that was a man.
Yeah, which is very funny because GW can do female faces. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's something between designers, like Age of Sigmar has better designers than 40K or Blood Bowl or something, but when you look at some models, mainly Hedonites of Slanesh from Age of Sigmar, if you look at from Blood Bowl, they are feminine. They look like females, but when you look at Sisters of Battle, when you look at them, especially the new models, the one with the jump pack, you can see this is a man's face. Like, this is not a female.
It's like they think that if women look like men, they will feel better about themselves somehow, which is ridiculous. I mean, which woman wants to look like a guy or not be feminine? It's crazy. I mean, it's a total disrespect in general to women. And I actually did a video about this. So basically in 2019, the models looked quite normal and okay. It's just now that they started looking a lot like men with very weird faces, like someone hit them on the face 1,000 times. Yeah, it's really no other way to say it.
And this is funny because, like I said, when you look at the older models, you can see that this is not like issue with technology or with the sculptors. They did and can do good female models, but now they decided to, like, I don't know, maybe they want to do some like grimdark style faces, like, you know, this warrior woman, but let's be honest, it's not looking like a woman. I was latest reviews with the Sisters of Battle, and my first thought was, this is a guy. And this thing is present in entire Sisters of Battle range, because when you look at the previous models, like the Canoness and all that, you can see the faces are like, there was this meme about Terry Crews, you know, the black guy. It was compared to that Canoness model.
Yeah. Did you see before any models that were actually black? Before I did this video, I actually never seen a tabletop Space Marine that was black. I know that there was some, especially in one Gilliman novel, but I never seen a model of a black Space Marine that was not particularly a salamander at all. So I never knew that there was such... Yeah.
I think it's just another part of DEI that you have this, like I said, diversity Marines. I know, I prefer that Marines are ethnically and culturally homogeneous. Like the White Scars are Space Mongolians, the Salamanders are, well, Salamanders is a bad example because they are just Caucasians with black skin, but Celestial Lions are Space Zulus. You have other Space Marine chapters that are basically inspired by some particular culture and ethnicity. And they should focus on that. Like, instead of making black ultramarines or, I don't know, space wolves or whatever, they should focus on pushing spotlight to these chapters like White Scars, Celestial Lions, and other like this, because it makes more sense from a world building perspective.
And besides, it's not that we have a lot against black Space Marines in general, is the reason that they're putting them in, that's the issue. It's the political reason. It's forced. I mean, it's not something that naturally comes to the lore, to the Astartes themselves. It's just because of the reasons are the wrong reasons to do this. And then a lot of people are trying to say that the salamanders are literally black, but they're Caucasian with black skin. And in the latest GW official animation, which was Pariah Nexus, the main character, he was a salamander with, of course, very dark skin, but Asian, which was very interesting. Have you watched this?
Yeah, I watched it. I didn't, like, notice it so much, because I knew before that salamanders are basically just dudes with black skin and not like ethnically black or anything, but it's just another example of checking these diversity boxes, like this DEI, when you have all cultures mashed together in every chapter. And I think this is the wrong route to take. Like I said before, you need to expand on the existing chapters that are diverse, not insert like Space Marines into chapters that, I don't know, like Blood Angels, because they are just Italian vampires or something. It's like you said, it's not about that there should not be Black Marines. They should be, but they should have their own chapters, not forced into every other chapter because, yay, Ultramarines.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there anything else that you like to add to the tabletop, the RPGs, the inclusiveness?
Yeah, about RPGs, like maybe you are familiar with Cubicle 7 tabletop company. They do like Age of Sigmar RPG, Warhammer 40K RPG. Okay, so there's this company called Cubicle 7. They make, like I said, RPGs from Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40K. It's Soulbound and Wrath and Glory. And here's the funny thing. Official Discord of Soulbound is like, it's infested with woke people. It has a pride flag for entire year. Everybody is talking about the sexual orientation, about gender and all that, and of course about the game and how that applies into the game. But the same company, Discord, for Warhammer 40k, for Wrath and Glory, has none of this. They act like there is no such a topic, if you know what I mean. So it's funny because the company is definitely woke, but they are woke when they want to be woke, because they know their target audience. But when they don't want to be woke, like in the Wrath and Glory example, they just stay silent.
That smells fishy, to the very least. Just so weird in general and so inadequate to me that you want to interject such things in a game like that. Just doesn't make any sense to me in general. It's like, well, I have this virus in my brain, I'm just gonna spread it everywhere or something like that. I don't know how to express it.
Yeah, and this is why it's funny, because these are the same people. The Discord moderators are the same people. In one Discord, they like and encourage this topic, like, yay, wokeness, yeah, gender orientation, very important. So in another Discord, they discourage these topics, like, no politics, let's not talk about this. And this only shows that these companies, they don't care about the wokeness in reality. They just want to make money, they just want to virtue signal to their target audience to get more money. And these woke people, they are so brainwashed, they believe that these companies really care about representation. They really care about them, which is a lie.
Something like that is happening over on Trench Crusade Discords, basically.
Yeah, but the difference is that Trench Crusade mods are really woke. They really believed in all that kind of crap. They were always a bit woke, but they shown their true colors right now, lately. But the difference is they really believe into that shit. It's like those profile pictures on Facebook, on Twitter. Like, if you go for a company European page, you see this pride flag, this we respect sexual orientations, we respect all genders. But when you go to the same company page on, like, for example, Iran or Saudi Arabia, there's none of this. Because
no one will stand for that there, especially there. It's a huge hypocrisy, basically.
Yeah, it is. And the sad thing about this is that these woke people, they really believe that these companies care about them. But they don't.
Well, yeah, they should wake up then, because that is just a huge scam that... Well, I hope that's going to come back to bite these companies and the people as well, because nobody wins from this.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, the companies profit in like short term, but in the long term, yeah, nobody wins, because the company is gonna lose money. The woke people, they're gonna, I don't know what they're gonna lose, like dignity. Normal people just gonna lose their IPs, like what happened with Star Wars, for example.
Yeah. Still continuing with Star Wars, we'll see what's going to happen with this new show, The Acolyte. But from what I heard, it's probably going to be a lot of nonsense.
I want to ask you both, because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And Are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
It's pretty gay. Let's be honest. Leslie, are you? How do you feel?
Am I gay?
Are you,
Yes.
Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this? This is going to be a talking point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure some.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. was this the fun element of?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I'm frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask for
Can you
one.
imagine?
Unfortunately.
I watched the trailers and I gotta say that it's generic show with all the boxes ticked and nothing beyond that. Like, I don't even think it's like Star Wars show anymore. It's just like some generic sci-fi with Star Wars elements or something. I mean, Star Wars died like years ago. Right now they just it's on life support.
Yeah, basically. Oh, okay. If you like, we can move to the second topic.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so second topic, guys, is can Warhammer 40K still turn things around? And why not female Space Marines? And why not female Custodes? What do you think?
I think we can turn it around. I mean, we can fight against it, but first we need to know who are our enemies and why are we fighting at all. I heard some interesting theory some time ago. That theory suggested that during the economic crisis, summer 2005, 2006, on the Obama presidency, people began to question the inner workings of banks and what happens to their money. And they were likely more aware that the banking is just a big scam. And some people suggest that this whole gender ideology and all that diversity is just a distraction, just a small screen from the real issues. When the attention is focused on made up issues, like artificial problems, like when you have all these transgender people, all this LGBT pride and all that, they don't have time to see what's going on in the world. Like, we have crisis after crisis. We have immigrations problems. We have economic problems. Inflation is over the roof right now. So first we must understand that these problems are made up. These are not real issues. So the thing is, if you want to turn this around, we must convince normies that these people with made up problems, they're gonna bring up our real problems. If you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. When you take a look at things from above, from a broader perspective, you can definitely see that.
Yeah, so, I think that many leftists are just uneducated and oblivious that they are brainwashed. So, these people, we can't convince them. They are so, into this cult, they just don't realize they are in a cult. So, to win this, we have to convince, the normal people, the working class, you know what I mean. These people that just don't have time to engage in culture war, but we have to convince them that culture war will come to them, because it's not gonna stop. There is no a moment when left is gonna say, yeah, it's enough, we have what we wanted. No, they're gonna push the boundaries even more. So
Exactly.
So as long as majority of the population is unaware of this, they're gonna push it even more, and at some point, these normal people gonna realize what's happening, but it's gonna be too late, because even now the leftists have positions of power. They are in corporations on high places, and they want to dictate how you spend your time, what you do in your free time, what you gonna do with your money. We can't let them. We can't let them do that, because if they're gonna control the language, if they're gonna control the corporations, they're gonna push it even more. It's like, it's forcing the changes. Like, I think the CEO of BlackRock said, like, they want to force changes on people.
Yeah, and that's one of the scariest things that we can actually imagine. So this started very, very minor a few years ago, but now looking back, it just grown exponentially to the point where it does affect in everything. And it started even to affect my country here, where people are usually very based, but you can now see in Facebook posts about anything, like, for example, comic book changes, Superman's son is gay and stuff like that. And people actually try to defend that, although it doesn't make any sense. And it goes against the comic books as a whole, and Superman as a character, all of that. So it's getting worrying, even here, yeah.
I think it's all about repressive tolerance and Gramsci ideals. I think the Arch is better at explaining these things than me, but the main thing is, if you, like, you are a normal person, like, you go to the work, you wanna watch a movie or something, and you are bombarded every time, like, look at this, these people need tolerance, this is good. Then at some point you're gonna start to think like, hey, maybe they are right, maybe the gay people are oppressed, maybe I need to help them, and all that. And when they do that, it's just like a virus, it's gonna spread. They are now called like allies or something, and they're gonna go on these pride marches and say, yeah, tolerance for gay people, or LGBT rights and all that. And this is the problem. So it's not only about Warhammer, because, like, you can vote with your wallet, you can stop giving Games Workshop money, but I don't think it's gonna change much. The GW is like multi-billion dollar company. Like, few people not buying their models not gonna change anything.
Well, what do you think that is going to make a big dent, so to speak, in the whole woke movement?
I think it's started now. When you look at what happens in Germany, all this immigration problem, what happens in UK right now, like, people are marches on the street, like, they want, like, be free of immigrants. I think it's already started. This is the thing, that the more the left gonna push us, the more we gonna have more people that gonna join us. Because, like I said before, when you have these normal people, they won't care about this culture war thing. But when it's gonna start to affect them, they're gonna start to push back. So the best thing that can happen now is if the left, if all that woke people starts pushing us back even more, because it will give us momentum. It's like when you push so far to the left, it's gonna bounce back to the right. So at some point, people will have enough, and at some point they're gonna start to fight back, and even those, like, normies gonna join us.
Yeah, and especially when you think that all of this movement is signaling on people's inner guilt about whatever it is, really. I mean, they're trying to say that they have the higher moral ground and we should feel guilty, but at the same time, this is really baseless on many, many levels. So if you really see how people are in real life, I mean, if you really have, let's say, gay friends, and if you ask them what they think about those things, if they are normies, like you say, they would say, oh my gosh, we don't want this. We don't even want parades. One of my friends really knows people like that, and they're against all of this pompous, showing off kind of a culture, because it's not helping them in real life. So they're also suffering from everything that is happening now. So if any normal person wants to help gay people, for example, they should just not do any of this, because people just want to live their lives the same way that everyone else wants to live their lives. They don't want to make a show of it. I mean, the real gay people and the real, trans people, let's say.
The gay people don't want to be part of LGBTQAS, of the whole alphabet, because most of the people, like no matter your sexual orientation or gender or whatever, just want to live and let live. They don't want to be snowflakes. And the thing is that all these snowflakes are, like you said, it's just hurting the real gay people that just want to live their life in peace. And this is funny because when I think about this, it's like all these woke peoples, they have like the same story. Like you have like this little Timmy, and mommy and daddy always told little Timmy that he can be special. But when Timmy grows up, he realizes he's not special. He's just like all random people around him. So, to be special, these people just invent new genders. They are now non-binary, pansexual, something. And all this activism is because people are bored and they wanna be special because, like, entire life someone told them, you can be whoever you want to be.
And also I would add to that also through my own childhood and how I grew up and all of that, I went through a ton of bullying. And what happens usually is that if you really have strong will, strong character, if you want to rise above what happened to you and not be a victim, you will do that. You will get over yourself, get over what happened, just try to be a stronger person, just better yourself. You will just work on yourself. You will build your own strong character. But when you don't have a strong character and when something bad happens to you, you just find solace somewhere else. But this is like an escape. It's basically like picking up alcohol or something else. So it is between the people that have strong character and those that become woke are like the people that have very weak character and are very susceptible to everything that looks like the easy way out of their problems and whatever insecurities they might be feeling. So I think it's a psychological thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because, people are really fragile in these times. Like you said, they have weak personalities, they have weak character. It's like... These people even don't have personalities at all. Like their entire personality is like their sexual orientation or their gender and nothing else. Or their skin color in some cases. Like you said, people with like strong will and strong personalities, they don't engage into the leftist ideals, into all this woke stuff because like they knew it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I mean, I would say to these people just, hey, find something to do, like find yourself, see who you are on the inside, like read a few books, try to educate yourself about history, just try to learn and not be dependent on other people telling you what it is and what it isn't. Just try to find your own way and build your own opinions about things, because to be manipulated is basically to not know anything about a lot of stuff. And one example that I always like to give is how, Black people in America, of course, try to always put slavery on the front page of everything. And they actually never will know that there's a lot of white people that were enslaved in history. For example, my own people were enslaved for 500 years by the Ottoman Empire. We were burnt, cooked in vats. I cannot even say most of the things on YouTube that have been done to us for 500 years. Forced to change to Islam, all of those things. And nobody even knows that, So education is something that will open people's eyes a lot, and they will see that whatever they were fed by now, it's just based on something that is not relevant as much as they think that it is. It is bad, but they also have to know what the rest of the world has been going through. And not to mention, of course, slavery in Africa done by Black people themselves, and all of those things that are coming to light, especially in recent years with like that Woman King movie. And things are going to come to light hopefully, but education is very important as well.
Because like I said before, most of these people are just uneducated. They don't know history, they don't know like mostly everything. They believe like in all that communism or all that leftist idea, like Marxists and all that. They don't realize it's not working. It never worked. If they learned some history, they would know that communism never worked, and it never will be, because it's a flawed system at its core. There is nothing much more to say. These people just are just uneducated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was just thinking that we went off far from Warhammer, and I just wanted to go back to the core of the problem. Like, Warhammer is just part of the whole problem, and if we want to like turn it around, we have to do something that happened in BattleTech. Like, the fans are keepers of the IP. They are the keepers of the lore. Games Workshop can't force us to buy their models. They can't force us to play in their new lore. I mean, there's like a bunch of Imperial armor books, like the whole Badab War, the Siege of Rags. You can play that. You don't need to buy into their new noble bright lore. To combat the wokeness, the next things we have to do, we have to stand up against cancel culture. We have to cancel the leftists, not let get ourselves cancelled. So when they're gonna scream that the custodies change is good, we have to cancel them, because we need to support our ideas and don't let them push their own ideas on us.
Exactly. So there's like a few very vocal people sometimes that appear in my comment section, and they always try to come up with arguments for Space Marines, female Space Marines, or female custodies. So if anyone like that asks you, why not female Space Marines? Why not? What would you answer?
I think the answer is really simple. It's not even about the lore. Because yeah, someone can say it's lore changes over time and so on. But let's just take another example that will illustrate this well. Let's take Conan the Barbarian. Make him a girl, and instead of saving a damsel in distress, she saves some guy. The entire idea is no longer what it was. It's the same with Space Marines. They are like peak masculinity, super soldiers. Their entire idea is that they are monastic knights in space. If you would change that, you would change the entire core of the faction, of the idea what Space Marines are. And to be honest, if GW would ever make female Space Marines, there is nothing that is not in other sci-fi game, like in Halo or like every other game that has super soldiers. Because the main selling point of 40K Space Marines is that they are like this unique blend of monks in medieval like sci-fi setting. You can't just change the core idea. It's the same. You can't make tyrannids diplomatic, give them personalities like in StarCraft, and say it's the same faction that it always was.
Yeah, basically, actually, when you think about it, the answer for why not female Space Marines and why not female custodies is the same. It's literally because the core idea is going to be changed, and when it's changed, it's no longer the same thing even. And why would you change a fundamental like that? And of course, then people will say, well, the lore changes all the time, but that's also not the case. There's a lot of things that are very well established in the 40K lore, and some things that are still not further explained, that are yet to be explained, or written on top of what is already written, that's different as like a continuation. So when it comes to factions like that, if you will not put a man in the Sisters of Battle, you will not put a woman in the Custodies. It's just simple as that. And for the Space Marines, it's the same thing. Why not Brother of Battle then, and just put that one in Sisters of Battle? Wouldn't make any more sense than if you change Space Marines to female. And then of course is the whole thing where you will be changing women and making them look like men, which will defeat this whole purpose of being women in the first place, because what is then the difference between men and women? And why would we want to smear those lines? And why can't we respect the fact that women and men can work together in the same way that Sisters of Silence work together, of course, with the Custodies, and they complete each other, literally, and one helps the other. It's amazing. I mean, this is a dynamic that is pretty awesome. You won't really have that if you start just mixing everyone like that,
Yeah, it's all about preserving the core concept. Like in Custodies' example, like the Sisters of Silence were always that like feminine side of the talents of the Emperor, and custodians were these frontliners, and they were like complementary to each other. It's something that it's also very iconic in art when you have like a strong king, but behind him is just strong woman. If you know what I mean. Like this whole idea that behind every great man is a great woman.
I also thought about this because, you made the list of woke 40K writers and non-woke, and one of the biggest writers are actually not woke, like Dan Abnett. At least I haven't noticed anything that he ever done that is openly woke. So that would mean that if the main writers are still keeping some kind of integrity of the lore, then the wokeness haven't yet went in that deep. I mean, it's really very small parts of books that I consider to be like additional stories. I mean, they're canon, of course, but they're not the main storyline of the 40K. So I think that at least that is better than nothing,
Yeah. The thing is about that Dan Abnett is that opinions about him are divided because he has some one can say that it's woke stuff, but it's nothing like major. There's like some LGBT characters or some, equality themes and all that. When you look at them, like the main lines, the Horus Heresy, because it's like best-selling book line in Warhammer. Yeah, he just don't insert much of these things. I think that mostly the new wave authors are woke, like the authors that joined Games Workshop like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something about that time frame, because the old guard, guys that wrote Warhammer stories in the 90s and in the early 2000s, they focus more on the setting than on the virtual signal. When it comes to Dan Abnett, I think he's like somewhere in the middle. It's hard to say if it's like his own ideas or just some higher ups, because GW wants to have very strict control over their IP. Just tell him, hey, you have to write these LGBT characters now, because we need that kind of thing. You know what I mean.
And you also wrote something about we as the audience making the difference, understanding the difference between the woke interjected into the lore and when there's, like, let's say, a gay character that is written within reason that makes sense in the story, that's actually contributing to the story, and when it's literally out of nowhere, just a throwaway line, like is in one of the newer orc and damn it, Necron, the Necron books. So there's really this differentiation between when it's really making sense and when it is interjected because of woke stupid reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, there's nothing wrong with gay diverse characters, because Imperium is not like anti-woke or woke. Imperium is just Imperium. They don't care as long as you can hold the last gun, but it's not homogeneous. Like, you have planets in the Imperium that are like, I don't know, fully liberal, but you have planets when they can burn you at stake because you have birthmark or you don't go to the church or something. Like, there's place in Imperium for everything, but it just needs to make sense in the world building perspective. Like, you need to make those stories interesting and not, like you said, just a throwaway line like, oh, and by the way, he's trans.
Yeah, it sounded ridiculous, especially with that orc book where it's just like, oh yeah, the orcs are genderless because they're just sprout from spores and they don't have a concept for gender. But then one orc was like, oh, I understand gender. And I'm like, what the hell is this now? And the orcs are one of the manliest looking creatures in the 40K. So I of course associate them with men because they do look like that. For me, I don't care if they have genitals, but they look male, so that's not for me.
From what I remember, they don't have genitals. They are the definition of being asexual beings, but like you said, they are part mushrooms, part vegetable or something. I think they are supposed to be like men, and I don't think they have really a concept for gender, but the strange thing was like this was some kind of exposition in that book when these orcs talk about the concept of gender and how is it strange that everyone associates orcs with being male gender, and it was like really out of place for me because I don't think orcs care.
No, they don't. They just want to tear stuff apart and kill everyone, and that's it. I mean, that is it.
A good time.
Yeah, just to have a freaking good time.
The thing I wanted to say is, like, to sum it all up, it's like these new authors just are looking for the place to insert some exposition, some virtue signaling, without thinking about world building or common sense. It's like they're just looking for an excuse to make some virtue signaling.
Yeah, or like in that Britannia book where they just found a random dead boy and they're like, oh my gosh, I see the future. If he was alive, he was going to have an amazing love with another knight. And I'm like, what? Is that what you can see in his future? Not just being a young man and becoming a knight and just having glorious battles, because that is what everyone is going to be thinking of, logically. It's closer to the mind than a glorious love in medieval times where actually these things were not widely accepted like some people are trying to imply today.
Yeah, it's beside the fact that this was probably the worst book I have ever read from the Black Library, but the thing is it's so out of place on so many levels, I just can't even describe it.
Yeah, it's wrong on everything that we can possibly say. Okay, we can go to the third topic if you like, about gaming and wokeness.
Yeah, I was thinking we talked about this like for the last hour, but okay, let's go.
Yeah, well, we are on for 52 minutes, so we have a bit more time, for sure. So gaming and wokeness, can we fight against it? So basically like Warhammer, like, can we push back in games as well?
I mean, like when we talked about Warhammer, I think I touched on most of these like things we can do to this back, but I don't think there's much to add here. Like in video games in general, it's the same principle that we have in wargaming, in tabletop RPGs, and in movies. You just have to like stand for free speech, stand against the cancel culture. You just have to use critical thinking, ask the tough questions, try to educate people, to fight against it.
Indeed. Okay, then something more particular that we can touch upon is the latest Assassin's Creed scandal, where we have Yasuke as the main protagonist instead of someone from Japan, as was actually the original idea of the game, and that was scrapped in favor of this thing. And now a lot of people actually don't realize that Yasuke was not a particularly important person in Japan. A lot more important was this white samurai William, but he is not also appropriate, of course, to make a main Assassin's Creed game. They both could be a good DLC in general, but for a main game, most non-woke people would agree that there should be a Japanese freaking assassin there instead of what we got. And I personally have played all the games until now, so for me this is also very weird, because every time that we got Assassin's Creed, we also got an assassin that is from this period, that is from this place in time. So this is the first time that this happens. So yeah, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's weird. It's the first time in Assassin's Creed games we have like we're gonna play a historical character, because in every other game you had this like fictional assassin, like time period appropriate and so on. But now they decided that they want to, so player can have control over the historical character, and by choosing the Black Samurai, I think that this whole historical character arc, it's just an excuse to insert a black character. Because if they would just insert a black character as some fictional assassin, then people would just bash them even more than now. But because they say, hey, he's a historical character, so we are excused. And the thing is, the most crazy thing about this whole scandal is that Wikipedia revision war, because video games are like it's trivial thing, but people started to try to change Wikipedia, try to change history by editing Yasuke Wikipedia page just so they could like explain his appearance in game, which is crazy.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. Absolutely crazy. So that is one of the most dangerous things that can happen, trying to change history. But whoever really digs into Yasuke's story will see that we are not even sure that he ever became any type of a samurai, and even the word samurai was not used in the same way that we use it today. It was kind of like something a bit new. So even the equivalent of a samurai wasn't even a thing, let alone something else. And he was there like for 14 months or something like that. And the Japanese culture never really presented him anywhere. Whereas the other guy, the white samurai William, he has a statue. He was really a samurai, just a totally different story between these two. It's really bad, even worse that they're actually not excused, because as you said, never ever in the history of Assassin's Creed we played a historical character. Always was a fictional character. So yeah, there's a lot of wrong here when you start to think about it.
Yeah, I think that the Yasuke was curiosity at that time. You know, he was just a footnote in history. I mean, yeah, he's very popular in pop culture, but like in terms of history, he was just a curiosity for the shogun, for the Nobunaga. Making him such like main character of the game is just, I know, strange. But the thing is, I don't know if Yasuke has any descendants, but imagine this, you learn that your grandfather is depicted in game, and they make him a LGBTQ character. This is crazy. He's, like you said, no one knows, he's a historical character. We don't know his like sexual orientation or anything, but they want to insert like this LGBT agenda on real historical person, which is another crazy thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Although I'm wondering, because as I said, I play all the games, I'm wondering if this is going to be just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you can actually have a romance with anyone in the game. So if you're playing with Alexios, for example, you can have a romantic relationship with some of the guy characters, at least one in particular that I do remember. And that was literally an option. It wasn't like pushed or something. So I wonder if that's going to be here as well, or he's going to be true an LGBT character for sure, and we will not have any choice in the matter, and we will have to have a romance with someone that is also like that. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, me either. But I think that there's like this problem that he is a historical character. I mean, it's kind of strange that because you know there's a lot of historical characters in game which you can play, but this is a game that it tries to be like historically accurate, at least in some respects. I don't know. I just feel strange playing like a real historical person in a quasi-historical setting. I don't know, it just feels strange. Like, even if it's only a choice, it just feels strange. Because Alexios was like a fictional character. It was your player's avatar. And here you have like this real historical guy, which is, like I said, it's weird.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've noticed is that, you know, because we know about the stories of Yasuke that he was really, really dark. We don't know exactly from what part of Africa he is from, but in the game they made him to look like a modern American model type of a guy. I mean, more to the attractive side of things, definitely, with a bit lighter skin. They want to make a historical figure, but they can make him look like he's depicted in some of the art even from that time. So that, I think, is a missed opportunity, but I'm pretty sure it's on purpose as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I noticed it. It's like he doesn't look that he belongs in the time period. If you would show me this character without like samurai armor and all that, just without any background, I would never say that this is like medieval or Japan character. I don't know, he just looks like modern character. Like I said, he doesn't even have that kind of like flair of the time period.
He just looks like, I would say, if I see this guy with the normal suit, let's say on the cover of a magazine, I would be like, oh, well, that's a black guy that is the model. That's great with the braided hair and everything, you know. It's just so out of place. Last thing on the list is the new Silent Hill DEI changes. Basically, they changed one of the female characters to look like a, well, I don't know what that is, like a potato. And before that, she looked pretty normal and okay, but then they said, nah, we're just gonna make her look terrible. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's just another part of current trend of DEI consultants trying to push the idea that men and women are some kind of androgynous creatures who are not so different, which we know that women and men are different, and I think it's like, I don't know why they do this, to be honest. It's like they want to make women look unattractive and ugly and like I don't know why they do that, to be honest.
It's just inadequate on so many levels, because if they're thinking that they're doing a favor to women everywhere, that's not it. Because, you know, women don't want to look at ugly characters as well, and they don't want to feel that. I mean, this whole thing seems like they're trying to recreate the average woman daily, like, you know, women that you see in everyday life. But, you know, a lot of women want to look more, I mean, better than this in general. They want to play characters that are more attractive because, well, that is, you know, role play, it's make-believe, it's another world, it's escapism. And then the other thing that is really a contradiction is that when they're trying to make women very manly or masculine in general, they're once again destroying femininity, so not respecting what a woman is in general. So it's like the opposite of helping women once again, and then they hate men, but they want to make women look like men. So it just doesn't make any freaking sense from all kinds of angles.
Yeah, it's just strange because, like you said, I have never met a woman that wants to look ugly. Because if you are pretty, you want to play a pretty character. If you are not pretty, then you want to play a pretty character. Because men want to play like those big buff dudes or handsome guys, not like some Quasimodo dudes. And I don't know, the thing is that for some reason they want to stop that fantasy that people have. Like in older games you had like manly men, like, I don't know, Gears of War. Like, you have those big dudes, unrealistic proportions, and if you look at other games like Tomb Raider, you have Croft, which is very feminine, big boobs and all that, and people want that kind of characters. They don't want like your average woman, but even so, these characters, they don't even look like average woman, because when I go out on the street, I don't see woman with man jaw and like with zero hips and all that. You know, women are different, but more or less you're gonna see more feminine people.
Lara Croft is a very good example, actually. And usually, because, you know, I'm a geek and a gamer in general, when I play like RPG, like for example, lately I played Dragon's Dogma 2 to try it out, and I made a huge muscular dude because the game allows me to, with a very small waist and huge shoulders, the biggest muscles that I can put on him in the game, because usually that is how I like to play such games when I can make my own character. Most of the times I am creating men. It's just how I like to play. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like to play with women too, but unless there's like a Xena Warrior Princess game someday, or just a Lara Croft game, you know, I just prefer to play with a man, just how I'm used to.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, many people like to play that is their ideal partner. Something you create a character that has things you like in opposite gender, or something you want to be yourself, or you are yourself, because people tend to make like avatars of themselves in games.
Me personally, I never would do that. I don't really get that for myself. I rather create someone totally different. I don't connect things this way. But yeah, I know that some people do that. That's kind of like, another topic. It's good to have good, character customization in general. But I also noticed that guys like to create female characters and play with them because they just prefer to see a female character on the screen moving around, which is also cool.
Yeah, it's all the joke when I want to watch. If I have to watch on the screen, I want to look at the ass of the woman, not man.
Yeah, I heard that too. Something like that on my side of things, although I really don't mind. I really love all the Tomb Raider games. So yeah, I don't mind, but it's like, so it's just different types of games really. If I play The Witcher, I love to watch The Witcher on screen. Then I get to play with Ciri. That's also amazing. I appreciate everything. Just the games that, like Skyrim, when you create your own character, I like to make like the biggest baddest warrior with the biggest armor ever if possible, because the more badass is just cooler for me.
Yeah, it's people. I think that people want to create unique characters or play unique characters. Most of the time you people don't want to play like your average Joe. They want to have character that is, like I said before, either have some things that you like, or either is something unique. Because we look at the current DI character design, you see that everything is just a generic slope. Like every character is less like the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really dull and it's weird. It's just not good. Yeah, do you want something to say to finish? Your thought?
I don't know. I think we covered most of the topics. I don't know if there's anything else to add. We all know that this woke stuff has spread everywhere, and it's not only like a game or a movie. It's like everywhere, and I think we need to spread awareness about it. And you know what? People need to get woke. But in the other sense.
Like really awaken instead of falling asleep. So wokeness should be called sleepy or something.
Yeah,
I don't know how to change it. Yeah. Okay, so, well, lastly, for like final words, do you plan to make some lists that can help in some kind of a way, some more lists?
I try to educate people as much as I probably gonna do some lists about DI companies in video gaming and gaming in general, and probably something about tabletop RPGs, because tabletop RPGs are even more infested than wargaming and movies, because like almost every company, mainstream company, inserted some woke elements or try to insert woke elements into games, like pronouns, inclusive character design, or language in their games. Like when you look at D&D, you see that they already started this like years ago, but it's so over the top right now, because you can't say that orcs are inherently evil and all that. So I plan to expand on those topics, and we're gonna see. It's like Pride Month, so I'm gonna do like some anti-Pride Month this month.
I wish you a ton of luck with that, because it's going to be a big undertaking. You gotta have an eye on a lot of things to make the list objective as possible, so I can only imagine what work you have to put into this. But you brought a very good point, just real quick, before I forget, that they do try to blur the lines between evil and good. And what is evil, what's good? They're trying to do that like for quite a while, because they're also changing villains in movies to make them like misunderstood or something. Marvel is doing that. Disney as a whole is doing that, like Maleficent, for example. And a few years ago, in 2019, I actually had a chance to interview Sam Jones. Do you know Sam Jones? He's Flash Gordon.
The young people in the world, I think they get a little bit confused. They think good is bad and bad is good. We should not change that or redefine it. Good should be good. Bad should be bad. It's just that simple.
He came here for our Comic Con. He really looked like a super cool bass guy. And back then I was like, hey, yeah, this guy is absolutely correct. And now fast forward 5 years, it's just gotten a lot worse, actually.
Yeah, I think it's like this blurring the lines is just another way of control. You try to paint something that is evil, that they are misunderstood, but something that are normalized to be good right now is like twisted to be like, no, it's wrong attitude. It's the same thing that they want to do with language. Like, if you let them control the language, they can dictate how you speak, how you act, and it's just the same thing. Like, if they control the view on morality, they control how will you act. It's just essentially it's left-wing fascism at this moment, and that's
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we basically fight back. Everyone that can fight back, we all have a voice in this, and we all can do the best that we can do. So, Jane, I really like to thank you as well from behalf of everyone that really care about those things, that what you're doing is really important.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
You can check Chainsword on X. Down below is the link, the first thing that you can see. And of course, guys, if you like to support me, all the links are also down below. I'm coaching, where. I'm doing all of my non-Slaneshi things there, and hopefully to help you guys. So, love ya. Until next time with me, the 40K Empress.